So hello and welcome to New Junction. Now I know it's been quite a while since the last video. I think it's been nearly a month. However, doing these things on my own, it's been fairly difficult. I mean, as you can imagine, it's fairly difficult to do all this garden railway pretty much on my Todd. So I've tried my hardest to get the next video out for you and hopefully enjoy. So as a lot of you have seen, particularly those of you who follow my New Junction Instagram or Facebook pages, the track work is being under constant attack, not only from debris and leaves and things, but also from aerial bombardment from the birds. So I have had to install, very clever idea, a anti-pigeon device, which I think you'll agree is quite clever. So this device is quite old. I've had it a long while, but I've put it to good use, and here she is. This is Tequila. Now this is my very ancient cat. Unlike Lulu here, who's eager and raring to go, Tequila, bless her, little on the old side, wobbly back legs, etc. But hopefully she'll do wonders at keeping the birds off the track. So, over to you. Meow, go on. So I wanted to give you a brief recap of the railway, just in case it's been that long since the last two episodes, and just to refresh your memory. So here is the station area. As you can see, I've got my pigeon device, anti-pigeon device installed, and is working quite well, I do have to say. One thing I have decided, now the station area itself is easily probably 10 foot. I'm going to extend it for now, there's my hand, to here. Just so, as what was recommended in the comments, I need to be able to turn the engines around when they come into the station area. So that was a very good idea. So if you do have any suggestions, do keep them coming in the comments, because I do listen to them, and a lot of them are very useful. So coming around the corner, as you can see, the bushes, I mean, when I've been filming this, it's probably only a week apart for this bit from the end of the last video, but you can already see the plants are already encroaching onto the track work. So they'll need cutting back in a second. And then the corner, which is probably one of the downsides to having a established garden. As you can see, this is uncleaned, but the track work is absolutely filthy, covered in debris. Hopefully Tequila will sort that. So coming round, I've still not trimmed the edges down of the felt. I was going to do that in one foul swoop, but you can see this is where the track work ends. We go round the hebe bush, and then you can see it comes back out in front of the pond. The felt is up to there. Now that's quite easy to lay. I will address some of the queries I had on the last video, maybe in this or when I get to the felt, depending how far I get in this video. And that's over the pond, past the pond, and then we go behind some conifers. And then here we are at the new bit. Now, as you can see, the ground is already dropping off quite substantially. So I'm going to rope in some help to help me do the return loop on this end. Because believe it or not, the track ends up being almost shoulder high. So, time for a montage, and we'll get on with building that. Nothing.
It's going in the correct way, yeah. Yeah. Ben, how do you do that?
Oh. So one of the dilemmas we're obviously facing, coming around this corner, the inner corner is proving a bit too tight for the wood that we've put these notches into, and it's just snapping on us. So I'm trying to avoid doing the block sectioning coming around. So what we're actually going to do is salvage what we've got, cut it down and make much smaller pieces, and see if we can hopefully have some form of rigidity as we go around the corner. So over to Tim, who I'm pretending is me doing all the work. A few words from you, Tim.
You're absolutely natural, mate.
Thank you.
Can't get enough of it.
What's your favourite part of New Junction?
The ice cream.
Don't tell them I'll pay you. So as you can see with the bits we've done so far, it comes nicely round and just misses the tree. But as we get to this corner, this is where the first snap occurred. So you can just see we've got a break here, and I think we're just going to have smaller bits of wood which are going round this bit. But I think once we're past this place, we'll be back to normal again. It's not that it's too tight as a curve, it's just I think we've probably notched the wood a bit too much, but easily fixed. So as you can see, we've come round the another tight corner, although it's not as tight as the first corner at the start of the railway, and I think we might have done it. It's all level, and it's time to come round the rhododendron and join it back up. So the most important thing to remember when building a garden railway is wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right, so as you can see, the 5 metre length, if we were to leave it, comes at the wrong angle. This is the angle we need. So we have notched it, or I should say Tim has notched it. And now it's just a time of bending it into position without trying to snap it. And yeah, hopefully we can join it up. So let's get on. So we've got to the end, probably the hardest part of the build, because it comes to shoulder height.
Yeah, I think the loop down the bottom was definitely the most challenging bit.
I couldn't have done it on my own.
No,
Even though I let you do it on your own.
Well, I think we struggled enough with two of us really, but yeah, keeping it level, and you can see at the bottom there just how much it really falls off. I think the fact that at the top of the garden you've got it at ankle high, when you stood up there and you look down the garden, you can't
show everyone. Sorry, Luke.
you can't see how much it's falling off until you get there and you realise it's at shoulder height.
So that's a post from the top of the garden, and then if you think at the bottom of the garden. The post right at the back there is shoulder high on me. Well, you can see how much the garden's chopped off.
Yeah, but I think when you look across it there at the back, going around those trees, that was definitely the hardest part, making sure nothing snapped. It was tricky. Putting in those relief cuts on the horizontal beams is really important.
We were very close to having to make block sections and having to join them together. But I really didn't want to do that.
No, I mean it would compromise the sort of the strength of the vertical post you're putting in. So it would be nice when this is all completely finished to come back and see it.
Get the tops on, get the felt on, some more strength.
That's it. You've got a lot of wood to paint now and PVA up. I think I'll leave that to you if you don't mind. And I get to go and have a lie down.
Yeah, well, I think you deserved one.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your help so far, and I'm sure you'll be back when we get the trains running.
Yeah, pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, thanks for being in my bubble.
That's fine.
That was handy for me, wasn't it? Pick your bubble wisely, folks. So here we are in the return loop of the garden. Now, Tim has gone home after I've used and abused him for his woodwork skills. Now, I've laid the cut plywood on the top. Now, I wanted just to show you an example of why, although I'm cheaping out, I'm using plywood, but why it's so important to treat it and PVA the corners, because a lot of people were wondering, couldn't you just treat it with the Cuprinol paint? And sadly, that's not enough. However, I do have an example. Now, this piece and this piece has been left out pretty much the whole time since the first corner further up the garden. And as you can see, this is just normal plywood which has been cut, and it's covered in pigeon poop. And as you can see from the edges, they've well and truly split. The whole piece is like a sponge. It's absolutely soaking with water, and I think if I could wring it out, we'd get a nice stream of water coming out of that. And that's pretty disgusting. So if I just left plywood, even under felt, I don't think it would last very long at all, because this is only a couple of months old, and if this was the track bed, we'd have bumpy track already. So that's that one. Now this one. Now, although this one has been left same again as this one on the floor, so in the worst possible place, because it's I suppose very wet on the floor, although you can see it is treated with the Cuprinol, which is hopefully protecting the ply. It's bone dry, and the edges, the worst parts for absorbing the water, as you can see, they've been coated in the PVA, are absolutely solid, and there's no splitting whatsoever. And I think that underneath felt will be absolutely perfect, but it is definitely worth doing these things to the plywood. And well, I've got to keep telling myself that, because I've got a lot of plywood now to treat and to PVA. So let's get on, and apologies, but here's another montage. So I think you get the gist now. I know how to paint the wood, and I think you know how I paint the wood. So I'm going to get on and finish the rest of the loop, and then come back to you when it's all done. So, see you in a minute. So as you can see, the woodwork's done, the paint is drying, the glue is drying, etc. It's just now a 5-10 minute job just to screw all the pieces in, and then we can get on to the fun bit, which is the track laying. And I can pay a bit more attention to Madam here, who's been very good. I've had to hide all her toys because she likes to drop them in the paint as I'm painting, and then they get covered in, as you can imagine, paint. And you can't have that, can you? It's the obsession with my arms covered in paint. Anyway, so what have I learnt from this video? Well, the first one is, now the weather's picked up a bit, it's a bit cooler. Thank you. So now Lulu's decided to leave set mid-film. What have we learnt from this video? Well, apart from you absolutely have to hide dog toys when you're doing any form of painting in the garden. Number 2 is you probably should wear some form of rubber glove to stop yourself becoming wood stain colour. But I suppose on a more serious note, especially with some of the gradients you can see coming around here, because it's shoulder high on me, I definitely couldn't have done this part of the return loop on my own. So I did have to ask a member of my bubble, that's a new pandemic term, to come and give me a hand. So big thank you to Tim for doing all the work. Work smart, not hard. Anyway, so I've also decided, with all the gradients in here, I think probably waist high is the perfect height for a garden railway. It doesn't, in some regards, it doesn't look the best. I prefer the ones that are sort of bedded in on the floor. However, that's difficult, as is something really tall. That's also difficult. So this sort of height is absolutely perfect. So if you're thinking about one, definitely raise it up a bit. So as I've said, what's next is the exciting part. It's the track and the track laying. So as soon as I get these screwed down, it won't take me long to lay some of the track. Now, you all know what track I'm already using, but why have I got this box? What's special about this box? Well, let me tell you. Some of you do know I do have a Patreon account. I've had one for many years now. And every so often it amounts to an amount, and then it gets spent on something to do with the channel. So this one, thanks to my patrons, added up to a lovely box of track. So this box of track was completely paid for via channel patrons, and I just want to say a big thank you to them. They are Sam, Trishbit, Stephen, Colonel Failure and John. So big thank you to you guys. Money well spent, I hope, and formed part of the new Junction Light Garden Railway. Anyway, so now we're thinking about track and electrics in the next video. We also need to think about the first locos that are going to be running. Now, some of you know I do have a handful of tank engines, and I've also got Hatton's A4, but I think I need a diesel. So if you've got any suggestions for what you'd like to see pulling the first diesel service on the garden railway, do leave it down below in the comments. But otherwise, thank you very much as ever, and thank you very much for everyone who commented and viewed the previous 2 videos on the garden railway. So I'm going to end it here. So thank you very much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.